So today, a lot of people sit for like most of the day, whether it's because of their work or they're just tired or they hurt when they get up, or because why are there so many episodes of Game of Thrones and I need to watch them all right now? Whatever the case, a lot of people are sitting for most of the day. And as it turns out, this extended sitting situation can create a wide variety of health issues. So in this video, I'm going to share some studies I found on this topic that just might freak you out. They might make you want to walk around a little bit while you're watching this. Here we go.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So when we're talking about sitting too much in a day, what does that really mean? And the reality is that, what too much means is going to vary from person to person. It's not always going to mean the same thing. It can really depend on where you are in your health and your physical abilities and physical activity, and what other things are going on with your body at the time. And when we're looking at who might this affect, some young whippersnapper, the amount that they're standing or sitting may not have as much of an effect as it might with someone who's a little bit older and dealing with a little bit more health issues, because anything you can put in your favor in that circumstance is often going to be creating much more visible changes that you might see. So let's just dig into some of these studies and see what we're finding. And when we look at this study here for adverse effects of prolonged sitting behavior on the general health of office workers, they took a lot of office workers and they're basically looking at, okay, these people kind of sit for at least 6 to 7 hours of their 8 to 9 hour workday. So that's a significant amount of sitting. And what they found were the results of our statistical analysis indicated that prolonged sitting times among office workers could have an effect on exhaustion during the working day, job satisfaction even, hypertension, which is blood pressure over 140/90, and MSD symptoms in the shoulders, low back, thighs, and knees of office workers. So they saw a lot of people that were dealing with joint issues from this prolonged sitting situation. But what they found was that when participants of these studies also participated in some type of physical activity, some type of moderate to vigorous physical activity, and they judged it by having a minimum of 150 minutes per week. So greater than 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous physical activity. And what that means could depend on your state. Walking might be a vigorous activity for you, and that counts as a vigorous activity if it's difficult for you to do. So when they were looking at this, they saw significant improvements even with the people that did this prolonged sitting if they also included some type to moderate to vigorous physical activity of 150 minutes per week, which is not so much. Maybe you're just going out 4 or 5 days a week and you're doing 20, 30, 40 minutes of whether that's walking or lifting weights or some other type of biking or some type of physical activity that would put you into that moderate to vigorous type category. And they went on to say that prolonged sitting additionally reduces insulin secretion, interferes with the uptake of blood glucose by skeletal muscles, and may also increase pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are associated with the development and progression of many cardiovascular disorders. And when we're looking at a lot of these studies, they really seem to focus a lot on these metabolic markers. Like we look at this study here on the metabolic effects of breaking prolonged sitting with standing or light walking in older South Asians and white Europeans. And so in this study, they really found that, well, if people just stood up from time to time while they were doing this prolonged sitting during their day, if they just stood up, that could actually improve high blood glucose numbers. But what they also found was that if someone were to just do some light walking instead of just standing up, in between this prolonged sitting stuff, if they got up and did some light walking from time to time, that it would improve those blood glucose numbers greatly, but also the insulin numbers, which are a much more important factor, really. It's all about what is insulin doing. Insulin going way too high has the ability to create a lot of trouble for all these metabolic and cardiovascular numbers that we're looking at all the time and kind of drooling over and, oh man, we got to get these better. A lot of times it's about that insulin going high. So in this study, they didn't really see such great improvement to those insulin numbers with just the standing, but they did see significant improvements when they did a little bit of light walking to kind of break up that prolonged sitting episode. And they said that breaking prolonged sitting with short bouts of light walking, but not just standing, resulted in clinically meaningful improvements in markers of metabolic health in older adults, with South Asians gaining a greater reduction in postprandial insulin. So they're looking at that after that meal insulin, and they saw better numbers when they did a little bit of walking in between that prolonged sitting stuff. And there's another study here, and I'm going to put the links to all of these studies in the description below, but there's another study, sitting time, physical activity, and risk of mortality in adults. And they found significant improvement to a lot of these markers when it comes to mortality when there was that physical activity for over 150 minutes in the week. So when we're looking at this, and I was surprised to see how many studies there really were. There was a lot on this topic, and I think that a lot of people look into this because there's a lot of people that hold that viewpoint that health is about this calories in, calories out formula. Like, oh, if you can just burn more calories than you're eating, then you're going to be healthy. And they believe a lot of nonsense like that, and I just don't believe that. The body is a lot more complicated than just the number of calories that you're eating or that you're burning doing some type of exercise. So if somebody is just like, oh, I'm going to eat toaster pastries and donuts all day, but I'm going to get up and walk every couple hours and I'm going to fix all my health issues, it's just not going to happen. So when we're looking at these studies, we don't know what the diets are of these participants in the studies. We don't know what their current health situation really is. So it's hard to understand what the real effects can be. But especially when you're looking at older people that might be dealing with more health issues and you're seeing significant improvements by just taking simple steps, it really gives us an understanding that, look, this can be an important factor. And it's a pretty easy factor. It's often a free factor. It's just a matter of getting in the habit and doing it. And if we can get that moderate to vigorous physical activity, if you're doing nothing right now, well, just try to do anything. Just go for a little bit of a walk. Maybe the big deal for you is I'm going to get out of my chair and I'm going to walk around the chair and then sit back down. If that's the first step you got to take, then just do that and start to work your way up. But being able to bring this mortality risk way down like they were talking about in this study is a significant thing when it's as simple as just getting some movement and maybe not sitting there all day. Just remember, a lot of these markers are about what you are putting in your gullet, what is on your plate. It's what you're putting in your body. It really counts. So if you're just looking at the calories and you don't care what kind of junk you're putting in, you're going to have a hard time fixing those problems by just doing some walking. But if you're taking some right steps, this is something else you can really put in your favor that seems to have the ability to help a whole lot. So one other thing that can really be helpful if you're going to go and do some walking, for some people, they have oxygen utilization issues where it's hard for the oxygen to get down to the tissues where it needs to be to create this energy and allow the body to function the way that it wants to function. So if that's the case for this person, then if they walk with special way, like with their mouth closed, breathing through their nose, it can really improve this oxygen utilization issue. So if you want to understand how to figure out, is this oxygen utilization issue a problem for you and steps you can take to make it better, then you can jump over right now and check out our video on how to improve oxygen utilization, and you might be able to put that in your corner while you're doing this activity. I can't wait to hear about your results.